Good morning. Welcome to the pre-stream, everyone. Morning, May. Hey, stock image, thank you for the sub. Is this stream going to be crunchy, chewy, or smooth? Vote now on your phones. I'd prefer a smooth stream, I think. You just lost no nuance November? That's awful. Punishment for Ellie. Literally just watching the VOD from last week about those kind of awesome stories. We have a lot of awesome stories. We tell many awesome things here on Philosophy Friday. Well, while we wait for the pre-stream to file in, I got a question for you guys. Do you think people go through midlife crises in the same way? I feel like once you get past millennials and Gen X into like actual baby boomers, you know, there's the classic. The classic, like, I don't know, spending your pension on a restaurant and shit. You don't know you're 19? Yeah, but you should know, like, older people in your life. You should, like, be aware of some older gentlemen who are at least 45 who've maybe, like, I don't know, blown some money on a sob. There's other adults in the world. Material conditions in it. Yeah, that's my question, is like, how do you think the midlife crisis has changed? So I was talking to a friend earlier, and his younger sister is like 24 and dating a guy who's like 45 and poly. And that seems like a midlife crisis type deal of like, you know, there's a lot of older dudes in whatever your local kink scene is, but like there's nothing explicitly wrong with, like, being a married guy in your mid-40s and, like, trying to date a 24-year-old. I don't think you should generally do that, but, like, that is a midlife crisis. That's a pure midlife crisis move. As a 49-year-old, you don't know anyone going through one. Really? I'd say, charcuterie board, I'd say you need to pay a little more attention to the your cohort. Because I think the midlife crisis can be more subtle than we usually imagine. What exactly is a midlife crisis? It's like, there's a thing that happens when you're like a male American and you're like, you turn 45 and kind of realize that, it's when you realize, like, for most of your life, you've been telling yourself that you're gonna start going to the gym and getting jacked, and then you realize, like, at 45, it's never gonna happen. Wait, theism, how old are you? I'm 28. I'm actually a baby. I don't know shit about the world. Have you had a midlife crisis? No, but there are several prominent adults in my life who are going through some shit at the moment. And it's been interesting to watch. And sometimes I think there's a sort of internal dramatism to it. Yeah, no, you have 28 energy. That's fine. That's whatever. Is it like a studied phenomenon or one of those culturally made up generalizations? I think it's like, I don't like, I'm not sure if it's a real phenomenon, but it's an observable thing that happens. It definitely, like, you'll see some 45-year-olds go through midlife crises, and it's like, that's a midlife crisis. Like, it's recognizable. Yeah, I'm 28. I feel like I was built to be in my 60s, you know? I feel like some people are kind of made to be, like, everything about their mental game is just ready for a particular stage of their life. Like, I've met, one of my friends is, like, built to be 35. Like, if you listen to the podcast, I feel like Evan was built to be 35 and married. He's just got, everything about his life is just prepared for that shit. He's a very responsible person, doesn't do much, he'd be a good dad, that type of thing. I feel like I'm built to be in my 60s. I want to be the world's first grandma with pronouns. I know that exists, but, like, I can't wait to be, like, non-binary in 62. My uncle moved into a rural house, and they have chickens and a hydroponics thing. They had a house pre-existing, and they spent a lot of time to build, like, a whole new house connected it. I feel like a midlife crisis has to be a little pathetic. Like, a guy who's like, I'm gonna fix up a bus and become a van life person, and they, like, work on it for 6 years and never finish it or some shit. Seem like you're someone in your late 40s who works at the magic shop and smokes pot. I could see that. Turn came about in the 60s or 70s, so it might just be a recent phenomena resulting from post-war societal changes. I definitely think the midlife crisis was buoyed by the post-war excesses. You think your dad had a midlife crisis at, like, 20? No, like, you just do stupid shit in your early 20s. Like, that's what your early 20s are for. Your early 20s are for dating a kind of sad 45-year-old who's married. Like, that's what that's for. It's like, I don't really know what to do with my life. I'm gonna go to a bar and listen to, like, a married dude talk about power tools. You have desires that somebody living a midlife crisis would have, like living a van or building a house. Yeah, like, I feel like there's that kind of implacable desire to, like, I just want to get away from everything, you know? I just want to, like, pick it all up and take off. I feel like that is not inherent to a midlife crisis, but that, like, if you have that if you act on those desires at the wrong period in your life, that becomes a midlife crisis. We're talking about it all wrong. A midlife crisis is not a thing that happens in the middle of your life. It happens when your life is mid. +2. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I do think it's like there is something that happens when you're, like, 45 and you realize that, like, your options for life are, like, limited. You don't have the limitless potential of being 28, because, like, there is a little demon in my head that's still like, what if I end up being an international martial arts champion or something? Like, stupid shit like that still enters my head sometimes, and I don't act on it, but, like, there is a part of me that still feels like that sometimes. Actually, I think the closest I have to knowing somebody who's going through a family member who just got into shamanism after visiting Mexico and Peru. This is what I mean, charcuterie board. That's pure midlife crisis shit right there. Like, doing some eat, pray, love shit is pure midlife crisis. Although, I do think when, like, older white women have, like, a yoga and jazzercise glow up, that's not... Women have a propensity to do a kind of inverted midlife crisis. They have like a midlife blooming where they get into, like, yoga and shit, and they feel, like, way happier. Do they have shamanism in Mexico or Peru? Neo-shamanism, like, started in Mexico. Like the concept of neo, it's like, the fuck is that guy's name? Castaneda? He was like hanging out with, like, indigenous Mexican shamanists and, like, introducing that to the rest of the New Age world. Let go of their inhibitions, turning inward versus outward. Yeah. They have indigenous people who know what side their bread is buttered on. Yup. Yup. I feel like midlife crises are somewhat associated with men in general. I do think it has a particular relationship towards, like, American masculinity specifically. They combine it with Kundalini and chakra clearing. Well, that's just standard fare New Age stuff. Like, that is neither unique nor uncommon. Hey, Garden Snail, welcome. It's definitely a male thing. Like, I don't think... Because, like... Women have to be realistic. You know? Like, if women in America start getting thoughts like... You know, maybe I'll go out and be a... Maybe I'll just head out and be, like, a street salesman or something. Like, that's a really bad idea for women. I do think there is something that happens. Like, I feel like there would be a close female phenomena for 45-year-old, like, American women, but the concept of the midlife crisis is definitely a male-centered phenomena. Have I ever talked about Kudoshka, the made-up Cherokee sex mysticism? Interesting. I've never heard of that. Women go through menopause and get a lot less tolerant of everyone's BS, and we end up taking up hobbies. Yeah, that seems like... That makes sense. That would make sense to me. I think my most midlife crisis desire is opening a deli. That, yeah. I know at least one retired cop that, like, blew his pension on trying to start a restaurant. In the workshop... Yeah, I was gonna say, the Cherokee don't live in teepees. Fascinating. Truly fascinating. Mine is opening a used bookstore / gaming / cafe shop. Oh, that... You know that would be awesome for the first, like, 3 months until you start... You gotta pay rent and shit. Spoken openly about how at some point in my life I want to take it easy and build puppets for the rest of my life, but if I do that before I retire, you'll know it's a midlife crisis. Exactly. That's an amazing retired activity, though. Like, that's an wonderful, like, retired old woman activity. Does getting a master's in social work instead of going to therapy count as a midlife crisis? Because that's what my dad did. No, that's like self-improvement. That's not a midlife crisis. I think the difference between men and women's midlife crises comes down to how misogyny generally affects and accumulates on them differently. Yeah, it's very much so. Like, the pressures that misogyny puts on middle-aged women are very different than the ones that they put on men. I don't know. I've been thinking about... Because, like, you can only think about people's midlife crises for so long of, like, damn, in, like, 20 years when I hit this shit, what's it going to look like? I guess it's more like 12 or 15 for me. But it's like, I know those impulses are going to hit me. I don't know how, though, and I want to think about that. I want to understand how that's going to apply to me. Is there not this phenomena of rich women opening up ridiculously tiny stores in touristy chic locations where they're all very pretty but never sell anything anyone? Yes! No, I know a woman who runs one of those shows. No, the women who do that all have wealthy husbands. Like, I know a woman who does that. She sits next to me at one of the cafes I write at all the time. And she's an interesting person because she's all, like... She is the same woman who brought like some amethyst crystals to put them on the Wi-Fi router so that the vibes weren't poisoning people, which was a very nice gesture, I think. But no, she runs like a boutique in the Old Town section of the city where she sells like jeans and shit. And I've literally I've wanted to go in there, but literally every time I've drove past the little boutique shop, it's never open. There's no way that this shop has ever turned a profit ever. Ever. I think it's entirely financed by, I think her husband is in like the petrochemical industry or something. The first wave of non-binary midlife crises are going to hit like a Category 5 hurricane. Do you think Dark Woke is scary now? Just wait. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I'm going to I don't know. It's like there's definitely one possible universe in which I'm like, fuck everything. I'm going to go start a nature walk company or some shit. Are those not the female equivalent of a midlife crisis? No, definitely not, because they occur outside of midlife, right? The woman who runs this boutique is in like her 60s. And this is just like what they do. Like that's their hobby. Start a dojo. Yes, that would be one of my midlife crises. I would start a dojo. Let us contemplate a patriarchal ancient Roman midlife crisis. Ooh, that is a good idea. having an ancient Roman midlife crisis and buying a souped-up chariot and a new boy. About to invent the Tenno. Wish me luck. Hi, Reptilia. Welcome to chat. Having a midlife crisis and invading Sicily. Exactly. When does the midlife crisis hit? 20. You know it's not 27, Holly. Come on. It happens in your 40s. Yeah, it's like a mid-40s thing. Come on now. Also, check it out. We've got more Warframe per screen today. 27 is a quarter-life crisis. Yeah. I do think being 27, having recently been 27, is definitely like a... It's a period in life when you're simultaneously like you're kind of actually figuring out what you're going to do with your 30s, but you don't really know yet. And there's still that anxiety of like, maybe I'll start a granola company or some shit like that. That's the late 20s malaise. Sex months, sex monks. Sex bunks. Roman dude having a midlife crisis and deciding he could be the next Plotinus. I don't know, man. I just want to divorce Secunda and like go study Plato. I don't know, man. I could be a Vestal virgin. I've never in my life imagined starting a company. That's probably good. Hurt people. Sex monks. Yeah, Plutarch was kind of living like an Oregon like polycule situation where he had like a converted townhouse full of philosophers, quote unquote philosophers. You're making a beanie. That's pretty cool. I don't know how to knit anything. You want a Plutarch-style midlife crisis? Yeah, it's definitely one of the better options, you know? As long, like... I feel like the Platonic form of the midlife crisis involves destroying your finances in some important way. Soon to be 27, working in a warehouse. Probably going to be working in a warehouse in my 30s as well. No crises for me, please. Isn't it strange how every major magic society is super duper sexual? I think a lot of the magical societies throughout history are like, they're interested in the extremes of human experience. And if you're looking for transcendence on a budget, then having weird sex is a good way to do that. Big stretch. Let's see. Let's do some invasions today. Or not. Guess they haven't refreshed yet. I don't even need Field Run. Wonder if societies less weird about sex have less sexual magical societies? I don't think so. I think the more anti-sex a culture is, the crazier its magical sexual societies are going to be. It's the dance of repression and expression, you know? Let's see, what are we doing? I need Orican cells. Let's farm some bosses, shall we? I'm almost done with Gravity's Rainbow. Speaking of, like, repressed sexualities, I'm almost done with Gravity's Rainbow, and it's a very similar book to Infinite Jest, which I did not like very much, but I'm having trouble rationalizing exactly what it is about Infinite Jest, about Gravity's Rainbow, that I'm fucking with so much more. I feel like it generally has a more cohesive plot, so it's easier to follow, and so the more indulgent scenes are at least punctuated by something that feels important in some way. But at the same time, I'm very interested in how both books discuss sexuality. Kind of goes into what you were saying about, like, magical societies. Like, the discussions of sexuality in Infinite Jest are, like, kind of juvenile and lurid. I feel like David Foster Wallace is, like, it's crazy. It's like he understands that being transgender is, like, a very thematically appropriate thing to explore in his book, but he is also very transphobic and doesn't really, like, it never gets past, like, isn't it funny that this guy is dressing like a woman? Like, it's always kind of played for a joke, even if it is a thematically resonant joke, and a kind of mean-spirited and unpleasant one at that. But whenever Gravity's Rainbow discusses something sexual, it feels like another reality intruding upon the book. It's kind of crazy. Like, there's a Nosevor scene where Slothrop is, like, gets an erection in his nose, and then, like, the girl he's fucking, like, crawls inside of it. And I had to, like, read that section back a couple times just to make sure that it was actually happening, that I was, like, actually reading it properly. It was like, oh, no, that's full on what's actually happening here. And I think my thought is that he's making a point about, like, how the intersection of sexuality and trauma is just, like, a psychologically overwhelming thing. Because it's not just like, oh, it's a weird sex scene. It's like, this is Ezekiel seeing the angels. This is, like, a truly transcendent experience that you can't really comprehend how to deal with. And then later, but a mere few chapters later, he mentions Shabbatai Tsevi, like the famous false messiah and Kabbalist. So there's definitely some correspondence there between, like, the extreme experiences of, like, magic and esotericism and sexuality. It is interesting how, like, oftentimes magical societies manifest as, like, these like fairly sexual things, but oftentimes the most influential doctrines of magic in the Western world are not very sexual at all. Like, they're oftentimes like, I'm thinking here of Sefer Yetzirah, which is like 1,300 words, and it's mostly about math. And that's like one of the most influential texts in Western history, like when it comes to esotericism. But it's not sexual at all. It's like the sexuality is always part of the praxis. I want to highlight the Greek magical papyri next. I think that's my next goal for the book. I think that's kind of the perfect way to transition out of the late antiquity, right? Because it's pure syncretism. It's the most pure syncretism that Western esotericism has ever seen. It's just got like shit from everywhere doing everything. But there's a lot of PGM spells that I could potentially focus on, and I'm kind of getting decision paralysis of what I want to focus on. Like, I definitely want to do the Bornless Ritual. That's an important one. I could talk about the Mithras Liturgy. But I also want to focus on some, like, weirder, smaller shit. Like one of the the 2 bear spells or whatever. Like, there really is so many. There's just so many spells, and, like, picking a good mix of spells to illustrate, like... I think I specifically want to illustrate how fucking incredibly syncretic the 1st to 4th centuries AD were for magic. Of just, like, everything we've been talking about together all gets smashed together in seemingly incomprehensible ways, but this is actually kind of the more pure form of religion. Like, this is what religion looks like on the ground. These notions of orthodoxy are kind of just like historical constructions. There were definitely people who followed orthodoxy and used it as a political mechanism, but the way most people were interacting with religion was very much in the vein of, like, I invoke you, Thoth and Hashem and Christ. The command of your shadow spell with the bird deification by drowning is interesting. Yeah, shit like that. Closest you've gotten to casting or doing a ritual is focusing on things really hard while pointing a stick at them and thinking about a tarot card as a focus. I think that counts. Oh, we should go talk to Barrow. Let's go do that. Let's go gambling. But I think that'll be the best place to close out late antiquity. Then I want to do a page on Sefer Yetzirah, page or 2 on Sefer Yetzirah, and then that will be the lead into early Kabbalah. And I know we've had a couple episodes on Kabbalah before, but I want to revisit it. And yeah. But I want to the time has come to write, like, the actual section on it. Is Barrow red forever? No, Barrow is red for Halloween, I think. Or, like, November. But once I've got, like, a solid section on Kabbalah, that'll be, like... That'll basically be a first draft. Like, I'll be done. Oh, ducats. All right, I'll take it. Let's see. You forgot Barrow has a daily? Yeah. All right, looks like I got everything. He started backmasking? He's gonna talk about the devil. I'm sure someone has, like, figured out his backmask or whatever. Twitch hates the Egyptian goddess of poisoning. Isn't that the centipede-headed one? I forget what her name is. But there's, like, the Egyptian god of poisons has, like, a centipede head, if I recall correctly. But I think for the book, what I want to focus on is not like, obviously I can't make people a Kabbalist. I can't teach people how to do Kabbalah. I'm not a Kabbalist. It takes a Kabbalist to make a Kabbalist. So obviously I'm focusing more on like the history, like how it's relevant to Western esotericism. So I don't think I'm going to talk about the Lurianics, and I don't think I'm going to talk about Shabbatite Zevi. I think I'm going to mention them and just mention that I'm not talking about them. Because the important thing that I actually want to cover is the version of Kabbalah that Christian esoterics inherited after the Alhambra Decree. Because that's the version of Kabbalah that Western esotericism was kind of built off of, was this like pre-Lurianic Kabbalah that didn't have any of the moral dimensions that Luria added. Because like that's the main thing that Luria really expanded on, was like Kabbalistic theology as a moral philosophy, and that is Western esotericism. Like the Christian Kabbalists were way, way more concerned with Kabbalah as metaphysics. Such a fake magician, you only know surface level shit about Kabbalah. Everyone only knows surface level shit about Kabbalah. It's like maybe the most complex form of esotericism like ever invented. Like no one knows about Kabbalah. Like most Western esotericists don't know shit about Kabbalah. I don't know shit about Kabbalah. I know broad strokes about the history of Kabbalah, but I can't tell you like the real meat of it. For one, I can't read Hebrew. Like all I'm getting you is a shadow of a shadow. You know the Tree of Life? Well, and even the Tree of Life is like one of the most commonly misunderstood things. Like the pop conception of the Tree of the Sephiro is just like, it has almost nothing to do with how it fits into Kabbalistic theology. Of like, the thing you have to remember is that every concept in theology that has ever been invented was invented to solve a problem, right? When we were talking about the Hechel Merkavah literature, like that form of ancient Jewish mysticism was invented to solve a problem. It was invented as a response to the wave of apocalypticism happening at the time, right? It was an attempt to redefine, to like adjust Judaism for this new rabbinical period, right? A sort of course correction. Now that there's no temple, they've got to figure out a way to like redirect a lot of the concepts that were based around the temple into like a spiritual temple, kind of pointing that stuff at the celestial palace. And the Sephiro tree is like, one thing you have to remember about it is that it's dynamic, right? It's not just like, oh, it's just Jewish Plotinus. Like it's how God flows down into the universe. It's like, no, it's a dialectical system. The Sephiro are always like pushing and pulling on each other and trying to correct and overwhelm, and like they're vibrating and dancing, and like that motion is kind of what creates the universe. That's like that is the atomism of the divine Yetzirah. But the reason that whole system was developed... Oh, right. I keep forgetting there's a cinematic. The reason that whole system was developed was to solve a lot of the questions that were raised by Judaism's interaction with the Islamic theology of the time. The autism of the divine Yetzirah? No, atomism, as in like the automatic flow of blood and muscle impulses. The pre-conscious movements of the divine body. Theology is a technology for culture. I am very smart. Give this man a PhD! So it's like, if you really want to understand, like, I feel like approaching this, like, the shallow way to approach a lot of, like, historical esotericism is just, like, this is the mystical truth of the universe, but I think it's much more useful to understand them as like what the authors of this concept, the people who developed this and created it and tried to slot it into some broader religious milieu, why did they invent it and what were they trying to solve? It's like the world card. I think in Hermetic Kabbalah, the world card is associated with the Shekinah, with the kingdom and the indwelling. Is your screen name being in those dialogue barks? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the figure on the world card is in a state of movement. Exactly. It's dancing. But within Kabbalistic theology, that movement of the Sephiro is the result of an imperfected world, right? The Sephiro will only exist in a stable and perfect form after the world has been repaired, after the Tikkun has been freaking olamed. And so people who are like, this is a map of the universe, it's like, no. You don't understand how this actually fits into the Jewish theology of the time. Because like many of the best parts of Jewish theology, it was developed in response to some pretty intense anti-Semitism. And Kabbalistic theology more broadly is like very conservative. Like especially the Zohar, it was, from a social standpoint, it was invented to kind of like bring a lot of the more fringe Jewish esoterica back into the fold. Like, you know, we've spent the last couple episodes talking about the Hekelo Merkabah. There's a lot of very unorthodox, in the religious sense, concepts in that. You know, things that might not gel with a more rationalist expression of Judaism, which was very common in the High Medieval era. I mean, thank you, Maimonides. That was his whole big contribution to Judaism. Was he was a great rationalizer. Went through the Torah, went through the Mishnah, said like, oh, when it says that God stands up here, that's a metaphor. God doesn't have a body. It's all metaphor. But that leaves a lot of interesting esoterica on the table, right? It leaves a lot of interesting and influential literature, kind of languishing, of like, oh, well, if we're following this like Maimonidean like rationalizing mode, like what the fuck do we do with Hekelo and Merkabah, and more specifically Sefer Yetzirah? There's a pretty good argument to be made. I think Schaeffer makes this argument when he's talking about the Hekelo in transition, or in translation. No, not in that book. That's about Hekelo, not the Sefer Yetzirah. But like, I think it is Schaeffer and later Gershom, or oh my god, it's Gershom Scholem and then later Schaeffer who makes this same argument of like, Maimonides' like Guide to the Perplexed, like this grand, like rationalizing interpretation of Judaism, was probably a response to the popularity of the Sefer Yetzirah. It was probably a response to mysticism, which makes it like pretty unequivocally one of the most important texts in Jewish history. It's you could make a very similar argument of like having Summa Theologia like Thomas Aquinas and similar rationalizers for Christian theology. They were probably reacting to a lot of the Marian cults and like all of the weird unorthodox shit that Christians were doing as they were interacting with like the Crusader states and shit. You know, learning a little bit more about Islam and various shit like that. Yeah. No, it's like almost, if you look into religion, you're gonna find like if you look into any mystical or religious concept, you're going to find real people writing things for a reason. Like a reason that is that is maybe not easily comprehensible, but like readily comprehensible. People across history have very similar anxieties and desires. You know, worries that they want to assuage and whatnot. protein shake. But I want to, as I've been revisiting all my notes and like shit about Kabbalah, I want to refocus on like what was the shape of Kabbalah that the Christian Kabbalists inherited? Like where's the cutoff? What texts specifically did not make it into their fold or were only incorporated later? Because I don't think they cared all that much. Like, they definitely were around for the Zohar. Like, that, I mean, they had a good 100 years for that to be... Like, the Zohar was written in the 1300s, I think? Don't quote me on that. But, like, it was... The Zohar was only popular in, like, extremely niche rabbinical circles for, like, 200 years. And definitely by the time the Christian Kabbalists were on God, I always forget the name of the guy who wrote De Verbo Mirifico. Like, the guy who's, like, the first real Christian Hebraist. The fuck is his name? But he wrote the wonder-working word, De Verbo Mirifico. That guy. Like, he definitely... Reuchlin! Yeah, I always know it's, like, it's fucking Prussian. It's like a Prussian-ass name. But yeah, Reuchlin definitely inherited a world in which the Zohar was known. But it was also like, Reuchlin was on the receiving end of Hebrew texts that were not being translated properly. Like, he was getting shit from Flavius Mithridates that, our wonderful, our king, one of my favorite esotericists in all of history. For those that don't know, Flavius Mithridates was a converso. He was like a rabbi that converted into being a Catholic priest. And the church kept paying him to translate books of Jewish theology into Latin, specifically Kabbalistic theology, into Latin. And he would just translate them wrong on purpose for the paycheck, just to make his patrons happy. And so a lot of the Kabbalistic texts that like Western esotericism inherited in that era were like notably Christianized. Like, if you look at the difference between like what he was like what Flavius Mithridates was translating and the original texts, he was adding whole chapters, whole paragraphs. Like, he was actively bringing up Christ just to be like, no, look, it does prove that Christ is right. 300 florins, please. Because that was what the Christian Kabbalists were really interested in, was like using it as a tool of Christianization. And the thing about that is that it did not fucking work. Like, at all. They're like, look, your esoterica really does prove that Christianity is the one true religion, and you are, like, Judaism is diluted, so you should just be Christian now. And, like, it's like that. If you were a rabbi who was into Kabbalistic theology at the time, you weren't being like, oh yeah, you're right, you did own me with facts and logic. They were just like, yeah, okay, you're not gonna kill me today? All right, awesome. Anyway, back to work. Like, Flavius Mithridates really is one of the funniest guys in history. Like, I nothing but support to my king. It really does make one wonder how many translated, like, how many translated texts that we rely on an authoritative translation of, how many of them are actually faithfully translated? Like, the last time that the Corpus Hermeticum was translated into English, into a common tongue, was like 2 years ago. Are there any good biographies of him? Not that I've been able to find. He's an extremely niche figure. Like, very, very niche figure. He basically only comes up if you're studying Christian Kabbalah. He's really interesting, though. There might be a biography or two out there, but I don't know. I haven't been able to find it. And it's really just this one anecdote that I find really interesting. Like, I do not have the Hebrew or Latin skills to really dive into the theology of the time. I have to rely on secondary sources, because I only can reliably speak English. But I'm sure that it would be a fruitful endeavor. Yeah, no, one of the other, like, there's a whole section in, I need to get better about remembering the names of the books that I'm fucking citing, but, like, there's a whole section about, like, the guys who taught Pico della Mirandola Hebrew, and it was like he had 3 different tutors who taught him Hebrew, and then when you learn more about them, it's like, oh, that makes so much sense for why you, like, he makes some pretty baffling interpretations of Kabbalistic theology sometimes, and it's like, once you learn the guys who taught him Hebrew, it makes so much sense. It's like, one of them was Flavius Mithridates, one of them was Elia de Medigo, the last Jewish Averroist, who was like, who spent the rest of his life being like, I hate Pico, he's an asshole, I don't believe any of his theology, and I didn't teach him any of that shit. And then there was like a third guy who was literally just like a rabbi and a wizard. Like he had like a side hustle making amulets and shit, like just straight up a wizard. What was up in the history of Jewish mysticism between Christians showing up and the 10th century Kabbalah stuff? Between Christians showing up and the 10th century Kabbalah stuff. Basically the Hekel Merkava literature, and then like in the 7th century you get Sefer Yetzirah. He's dead, right? Yeah, we can leave. Okay. If you want to hear more conversations about the Hekel Merkava, you can listen to the previous 2 episodes that we've did on my freaking YouTube channel, which should be linked in the Discord if you're not in the Discord. I need to promote that shit more often. But also, it's like, the Christians did not start getting interested in Jewish esoterica until, like, fucking, like, the 1400s. Like, it took a while for them to really care, and even, it's like, I feel like if you watch a couple YouTube videos about, like, Christians being interested in Jewish esoterica, you'll get the sense that it was like a widespread thing, that like suddenly the broader Christian world was just like, yes, we must pillage their esoteric secrets. And it's like, no, it was like 4 guys. It was like literally like 4 dudes doing this, and then no one else took them seriously. There was a bit of a cottage industry of like of Jewish conversos teaching Christians language. Like that was a common role for rabbis at the time, was like, hey, you need a Latin tutor? I can teach you Latin. You want to learn Greek? That was what a lot of rabbis ended up doing for their Christian colleagues and counterparts and whatnot. But the idea that there was like a massive wave of like people attempting to pillage the secrets of Jewish esotericism, it's like they didn't need to do that. They could just, it's like, it was just illegal to be Jewish in Spain at the time. Like, they didn't need to pillage shit. Like when Pico tried to like do his whole like, here's my version of Hermeticism, and we're going to use it to fix Christianity with all these like esoteric ideas. Like, people thought he was cringe. Like, the Pope told him to fuck off. When I think it was like people tried, like Christian priests tried to use Kabbalah to like defeat rabbis in debates, and it happened like twice, and it stopped because the second rabbi like won the debate. Like, they lost pretty handily. And so the Pope is like, okay, no more of that. You're cringe. Stop doing this shit. Let's just continue setting the Jewish books on fire. Thank you very much. And I don't think it was Pico who was the super anti-Semitic one. I think that might have been Ficino. But his whole, like, we will take their secrets and use them as theological darts to convert them. It's like, that's fucking cringe, dude, and it didn't work. And no one cared. Like, and honestly, a lot of the other Christian Kabbalists were like, they were like very pro-Jewish in the way that Agrippa was very pro-Jewish, of like trying to get Christians to care a little more about Jewish theology. It's like, hey, maybe we don't need to like constantly murder these people and set them on fire and burn all of their books. Maybe we can like talk to them about God. But in a doing so in that very kind of liberal way where it's like, if I say things that are a little too pro-Jewish, people will kill me. And then somebody killed Agrippa for being a Judaizer. Would owning a rabbi in a debate mean anything to the average guy? It wouldn't mean anything to the average Catholic priest at the time. Like, that's how niche this shit is. No one cared. Hello? How seriously was Kabbalah taken among the general Jewish populace? Not. It was not. Like, it was... Kabbalah was relegated to very niche rabbinical circles. The average Jewish person in the High Medieval era and the early modern period was not only not aware of Kabbalah, but like most rabbis thought it was kind of cringe and weird. Like, the general reaction to Kabbalistic theology was like, that's interesting, Moshe, but like, we know you made this shit up. Like, it's pretty incomprehensible. Hello, ma'am. What's up, baby girl? But no, it's like, Kabbalistic theology was also not, like... You have to remember that at the time the Zohar was being written, there is a proud theological tradition of, neat, whatever. It's like, that seemed to more be the response to Luria, though. Like, there is a sense that Luria was a little more popular with his theology, but not by much. And it's only really because he had shit to say about it's only because he had shit to say about moral philosophy. A lot of fun moral philosophy in Luria. But also it's like the average Jewish person didn't care about this stuff. Like, it was not held to be particularly sacred. And also you have to remember that at the time there was a pretty big divide in Judaism. This is a little earlier. I'm confusing the timelines a little bit, but like in like the 13th to 14th century, there was a fairly large divide within Judaism of like rationalists versus like, I don't know, what do you want to call them? It's like basically the Jewish equivalent of charismatics, right? There was a pretty big divide between like the people who liked Maimonides and were like, this is cool. We love a rationalizer. We love knowledge and ideas. Ooh, Tenora or Tiberon? Let's do Tiberon. They're like, we love a rationalizer, but like a lot of the more traditionalist, more conservative guys were like, or rabbis were like, we're going to burn this guy's books. There's a story that at least Dr. Sledge relates that I haven't been able to find the source for. And I generally trust Dr. Sledge, where he basically talks about, like, there was a group of rabbis that handed over several copies of Maimonides' work to the Dominicans to have the books burned. And then the Dominicans were like, ew, yucky Jews, let's kill them. Obviously, did not go well for them. But like that is the degree to which like this divide between like traditionalism versus rationalism was existing in Judaism at the time. So like, and among the more traditionalist charismatic ideological thrust in Judaism, the most intense of those conservatives were into Kabbalah. Like that's who was writing Kabbalah. This was not like we've mentioned it in another episode, but Kabbalah was not woke. It was not the like progressive liberal theology that esotericism often is. Like, actually, I don't know if I can say that properly. Like, there is definitely a like esotericism tends to show up when like a theologian is trying to build something that doesn't like they're trying to build something out of existing canon literature that doesn't actually exist in canon literature. So there's like a desire to extract something that isn't there from existing literature to push it in a new direction and be creative in that sense. Can't help but wonder how much of this stuff was essentially a way to give something to do to the people who like sorting numbers and letters and tables and sequences. It's like I don't want to frame Kabbalistic theology that way. Like it is, even in my like autodidact approach to this corner of theology, it's like Sefer Zahar was clearly written by a guy who is a true pervert of theology. Like this is a guy who, like, Moshe de Leon was not a lightweight when it came to theology. This is a man who had a vision for Judaism. He had a clear structural goal for the type of theology that he wanted to build. Like this was not an endeavor undertaken lightly. And it's honest, like, it's a very literary theology. I think heavily influenced by the Heklo Merkava lit. Like, it's a very, like, I think it's easy to reduce Kabbalistic literature down to like, the Sephiro tree, etc., gematria, doing math with Hebrew letters, and all of those things are part of Kabbalah, but they're not the core of it. It's fundamentally like it's a literary philosophy. The Sefer Zahar is a travel literature. Like if you're a guy in the 10th century who has something undiagnosed with him, I do think most esoterics, like esotericists throughout history, had something undiagnosed happening with them, be it like autism or anything, but I don't want to, what is the word for it? I don't want to diagnose anyone with anything. So that League of Magicians edit would be applicable to most types of Kabbalists? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that is. Say real words. Pathologize! Thank you! I don't want to pathologize these, like... You don't want to say, like... Moshe de Leon did that because he was autistic. Like, that's infantilizing. He was a man who had definite ideas and goals for his theology, and he built them for a very a studyable and concrete reason. But I'm not saying that autism wasn't a part of it, right? There's a lot of esotericists, like, where I'm just saying, as an autistic person myself, like, the way that they build arguments, the way that they structure ideas and conceptualize of the world, I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't some autism there, you know? It's like the fruit juice and Sunny D. It might not be the main ingredient, but it's probably in there. Yeah, they did all that shit because they're crazy. They're crazy. Asylum. It does. It reduces their achievements in some sense. Like, we must appreciate historical literature for what it is. But we can speculate a little bit. No harm in that. I forget what broader point I was making. But I don't know. I do feel like it's important to talk about this stuff. It's important to, like... There's a kind of insufferable idea in a lot of online esoteric communities, and this is getting into, like, inside baseball stuff. That's just, like, my personal gripes. I'm not making, like, a sociological claim here. People are annoying on the internet, and I'm responding to that. It's like, people treat Jewish esoterica especially as, like, it's forbidden. You literally... It's like, you literally can't comprehend it unless you're a rabbi. It's like, well, that's because they spent their entire life studying theology. Like... I can't properly appreciate this shit because I can't read Aramaic. Like, it's very complicated. It's not like, it's not going to make you go crazy if you study it. I feel like there's a degree of Orientalism that people discuss Jewish theology with sometimes that I do not appreciate. And I feel like it's important to discuss the, like, actual historical pressures that went into building such wonderful theology like this. You know, Jews are not elves. They were real people who existed in the real world. Ma'am, you are not allowed to bite that. Ugh. Hi. Yes, hello. She's biting my ass. Aw, did you guys hear her? They're unintentionally buying into its own mythology, too, a bit. Yeah, definitely. That happens. But it's like, that happens even beyond Jewish esoterica. It's like people... I mean, like... People do that all the time with the fucking, what are they called? The Golden Dawn? Like, people believe the Golden Dawn's bullshit way more than they actually should. I do think there's a sense that, like, a lot of these texts are very interesting. Like, they can... If you are not used to this type of literature, if you are not the type of person who is inundated in the world of esoteric theology, like I'm sure a lot of people in chat are, like, if you're not familiar with this type of literature, with this type of writing, it can feel kind of crazy profound. I've been reflecting a lot on, like, the person I was when I started trying to learn all this shit, when I, like, you know, started writing this book. I didn't know shit about fuck. Like, I could read an excerpt from a scholarly paper on one of these books, and I would feel like, it kind of makes you feel like a genius when you actually properly understand, like, a sentence. You're like, I'm the smartest guy ever. And I think that happens to a lot of people. Like, they get their hands on a little bit of scholarly understanding of a complex historical topic, and they, like, you start feeling like a genius. And I think that's, like, it can lead people to some cringe places, but also that's a wonderful feeling. And I think we should encourage that. I think we should encourage more understanding, more, like, we should encourage people to learn more about history. Looking at their literature without actual evidence of their practice, it's hard to tell what is actually intended seriously. Yeah. It's like, I feel like if you don't approach esoteric literature as from a historical materialist lens, you're gonna miss shit. Like, if you don't put effort into understanding why people wrote this shit, you're gonna miss most of it. You're gonna be leaving knowledge on the table. There's like I was talking about earlier, I can't teach you how to be a Kabbalist. I'm not a Kabbalist. But I can teach you who wrote these texts, when they wrote it, a little bit about the world when it was being written, what they're responding to, why they wrote it. I can teach you that. And that is information that I think anyone can readily learn with enough energy and time. I don't think there is such thing as privileged information. You can learn anything if you have enough time and energy and dedication. Hi, world's smallest creature. play in the front room. Yeah. Meow! Hi! Hello, I love you. Oh. Hello. You already had your yummy breakfast. It is 11. It's 11 a.m. I don't feed you for another like 7 hours, ma'am. I don't know. It's like, now that I'm getting close to a first draft, I have to think long and hard about what I'm not going to talk about. And that fucking kills me, man. It's like, I wish I could just spend the rest of my life adding to this, but I need this. I want to finish this damn book before I'm 30. Wow. Hi. Oh, the Yeller. She's jumping up on my lap, or trying to. How long is the book right now? It's about 120 pages of pure text. There's probably gonna be like... I want to at least increase that by like a lot of images. Decide how much, if any, of Chaos Magic to cover. Okay, May. I feel like this could be a fun exercise for you. Sit down and write an essay on Chaos Magic. Try, like, do your best to fill more than 4 pages. I thought I would be writing a lot more about Chaos Magic. There is not much Chaos Magic. Like, if you really need to stretch that out, the amount of important information about Chaos Magic that exists is, like, very small. It exists in a fairly interesting cultural milieu, and I think if you're trying to write an essay about it, there'll be a lot of talk about, like, the people who contributed to Chaos Magic and, like, the world that they were living in and, like, the pressures they were responding to, but it's not that complex. Hi. No more biting my ass, thank you. Are there restrictions to how big a book you can reasonably publish? No, I just don't have any fucking time. I've been working on this book for like 6-7 years now. I want to do other shit. I'm tired. Listen, I would love to spend the next year of my life researching ancient Egyptian magical practices. I would love to spend another month doing this. I need to make money. I need to publish this damn book so I can write about other stuff. Oh, the saddest little critter who's ever been sad. Yeah, like, a chapter on Chaos Magic would literally just be like a QR code to a copy of, like, Phil Hines' oven-ready Chaos Magic. Hi! Oh my gosh. Okay, if you want to be let out, I will let you out. You better not cause any fucking trouble in the front room while I'm streaming. No, pursue the asceticism. Asceticism is shockingly expensive these days. Alright, I'm gonna be back in here. We'll take a quick break while I let this thing out. All right. Welcome back. But yeah, it's like I gotta fucking make money, right? I as much as I would love, like it's not like I'm gonna stop studying this shit, right? I already know what I already know what my next book is gonna be. I already know what I want to write next. I want to write about the history of cartomancy. I feel like there isn't a good like definitive history of it. I feel like there's room for that. And I feel like I have the skill set to produce something like that. But I want to do other shit. I want to run a game show. I want to have enough time in my life to bring back Quizardry, you know? See you in 2030? Yeah, I mean, honestly, with the amount of experience that I've gotten from writing just what I have so far, I feel like I could knock out... Like, I could knock out another book in a quarter of the time. Not just because it's like, okay, even though the current draft of the book is only maybe like 110, 120 pages at most, like, the amount of information I had to read just to have, like, even a basic take on half this shit is kind of crazy. Like, the breadth of research that this text has required is frankly a bit ridiculous. I've had to study approximately 3,000 years of history to get to this point. Even if it's just a series of niche figures, it's a lot of reading. However, if I wanted to write a book about cartomancy, it's a very specific topic. I feel like I could dive deeper into the subject. I could become like a true, honest-to-God expert about the topic. Are you planning to publish fiction as well? Yeah, I'd like it. I'd like to. One of my friends might become the editor of a literary magazine, and a fairly prestigious one, soon. So there might be avenues to that, but also I enjoy just like publishing fiction on the internet for free. I should get paid for it, and a lot of you do support me on Patreon. Thank you very much. If you'd like to, there's a text crawl at the bottom of the screen. It's my primary source of income. But it's like, I don't want to deal with fucking publishers right now. I have to lock in. I have to finish this fucking book. I have discarded so many side projects to focus on this shit because I constantly feel like I'm never doing enough work on it. And I'm almost done. I'm almost to a first draft. I'm almost to like... I just need to do the PGM, Sefer Yetzirah, and Kabbalah. And then that'll be like... I'll be happy with what I've got there. Yeah, I'm glad you guys like Amber Skies. But also, it's like... just like a unedited first draft. It's not my main thing. I enjoy writing fiction. But I enjoy historical research. But I'm one person, and I can only... I've been thinking about this. I think for creative work, I think you get maybe only 1 to 2 hours of truly... Like, you can only be truly locked in for, like, 1 to 2 hours every day. My rule is 1,000 words or 4 hours, whichever comes first. But it's like... After that hour, if I have like a truly productive day where I hit my word count, I go over, I feel like I've gotten good shit down on paper, I feel physically exhausted. Like it's genuinely hard for me to focus on things the rest of the day because I'm spending so much of my mental energy just like grappling with large volumes of complex historical information. And to a certain degree, it's like, I feel like, in my brain, I should be able to just read for 8 hours a day. But no, turns out your brain is an organ, and it requires, like, chemical energy to run, and you can only fit so much glucose in your body. Like, Like, it's not a spirit. It's an organ. It needs food. Oh, that's unrelated. I've been draining your life force when you aren't looking. Well, fucking knock it off, dickhead. On a related note, is there any reason you were considering RPG Maker for that game project you floated last month? I have experience in it. Fun little CT deep lore fact. The thing that I wanted to go to college for was computer engineering, was like software engineering. And so, I actually took a summer class in like elementary school where they taught us how to use Game Maker. Like, it was like Game Maker Engine 2 or something, like the second edition of it before like modern Game Maker engine that Undertale was made in. And I just like, that was my hobby for like 10 years, was I loved fucking around with amateur game development. And it wasn't even like non-professional game development, it was literally just like me making toys in my bedroom. But I'm actually quite familiar with GML and Game Maker Engine. So if I really wanted to, I could lock in and like build a simple engine for this game in Game Maker. But I have a job, like I have like a real ass job that I have to focus on. Like my Patreon is enough to pay the bills, and I feel very lucky to have the financial stability that I do, but it's like marginal. I do not have it was hard enough for me to take one day out of my writing schedule every week just to work on Quizardry. So if I wanted to get back into game development, it would require a significant degree of time and energy on my mind. My tome. That's true. The siren song of all of the projects that I would work on if I had infinite time and energy and focus. I need a cadre of clones that I can just like enslave to myself. What are we farming for? Oricon cells. Unfair that there's only 24 hours in a day. Like, yeah, for a while I was living that tweaker life. I was like taking way too much Adderall and like doing insane shit. I was productive. The rest of my life was not great. Amphetamines only seem like your friend for a little bit. That does not go well in the long run. I'm actually trying to slowly wean myself off of all the stimulants that I was taking. I'm still on a quite low dose, but if we're being real here, somehow estrogen is actually making up that difference. I don't know what it's doing to me, but it's working. Something's working. I think it's proof that the female brain is inherently superior to the male brain, and that those are real. I proved it with my calipers. My Caucasoid genetic makeup has been improving my femininity. Feel good, work good, I guess. That's probably a more likely explanation. But yeah, it's like, if you ever think about taking, like 3 times the recommended dose of amphetamines for your body weight, don't do that. It's not good. You do and say insane shit. Estrogen is the next G Fuel. I'm saying it now. Ooh, girl. Yeah. It was not great. Yes. Because, okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing with Adderall, is that it affects, like, it is highly dependent on your metabolism. So, how much it actually affects you can be based on, like, how fast your pancreas works and shit like that. So, there might be people who are taking, like, triple the recommended dosage for their BMI, and they're fine. Like they're just completely fine. Like they can sleep, they can work fine. They don't feel jittery or crazy. And there are people who it's like, you know, you get 5 milligrams in your body and you're just like you're tweaking up a storm. And I love my my psych, but I was just like, you know, I was like 20 and being like, you know, shivering with endorphins, being like, no, this feels great. We can increase my dosage. It's fine. Like, I'm just exhausting myself to the point where I collapse at the end of the day. What could be healthier? And yeah, it turns out that doesn't last very long. Although, I will say that burst of tweaker energy is probably why I have a writing career. Like, it got me, like, the power of amphetamines are what allowed me to surf the wave of unmedicated doldrums into, like, actually figuring out how to discipline my day and build a schedule and how to actually read. I was terrible at reading before I was on amphetamines, but now I know how to do it, and I can do it off meds. So, you know, if you feel like you need it, go ahead and do it. Don't take too many. It's not good for you. There is a thing that happens with amphetamines where it's like you feel like the most correct person on planet Earth. It's like it fucks with your righteous anger response. This is like, if anyone else is on amphetamines, like, back me up here. Like, this is a real thing. Like, there is, like, you disagree with me? Well, I am the most correct person on Earth, actually. Is amphetamine a poster's drug? Adderall is the most poster's drug ever. Like, it is the onliner's drug. Like, to a certain degree, Adderall is like if Twitter was a pill you could take. Like, you have to surf that wave and get past it. I've been trying to maintain epistemic humility on it. Started recently. Good. Stay humble. If you ever feel like you're about to own this fool with facts and logic, put down the phone. You know. Instants or extends? Extends. Although instants are not much better. Yeah, amphetamines make you really argumentative. I was able to form coherent thoughts for, like, the first time in my life, and it kind of saved my life. But it made me really annoying on the internet. So, you know, who's to say whether or not it was good or bad? I don't know. I am grateful to my overly amphetamine years, but don't do that shit, man. It's not good for you. The feedback loop of tweaking, only doing work, health degrades, tired, more stimulants. Yup. That is the fucking devil's drain of amphetamines. Is like, man, I'm feeling tired. You know what makes me feel less tired? More amphetamines. I've gotten much better about resting, thankfully. But that is part of why, like, oh man, fucking amphetamines are the drug that's like, I should start a podcast. That's a pure Adderall thought right there. And like, energy drinks are not much better, honestly. Like, you can totally replicate this feeling by, like, overindulging on energy drinks. But honestly, by now, it's like, I'm just drinking coffee every day. It's like, I have a tiny dose of amphetamines, and just having coffee. It's much healthier for me, I think. I'm not overindulging in coffee. I think I have like 2-3 cups a day. I usually drink it with my protein shakes. And holy fuck, exercise! Sits down in front of you, crosses my hands. Exercise, dog. Like, you gotta... It works better than any caffeine pill or, like... Holy shit. Like, you have to get into cardio. It's so much better for your brain. I'm kind of kicking myself because I've been working on this damn book for, like... I don't know, like 6-7 years now, and... I haven't been working out for all of that. Like, COVID happened in the middle of it. I was just kind of sitting in my room. I really, really, really wish that I was working out more often. Like, it would have helped me so much. It would probably be good for you to exercise, but exercise does nothing for you emotionally. It's like, if you feel good after you did it, that's good. That's basically just like, literally just showing up at the gym and like spending 2 minutes on a treadmill and then going home and then just doing that until it becomes part of your day. That works, dog. Like, that's important. You should do that. Everyone should exercise, even if you don't want to pay for a gym. Go out for a damn walk. How many cells do we have? You should. You should celebrate what your body can do. It needs to be taken on a walk like a dog. Just straight up. You wish treadmills were cheaper? Yeah. Yeah, get into plant and animal identification. That's a good one. Let's see. Thinking Warframe thoughts. Pandero Prime Barrel. I know this is in rotation, so I kind of want to go for this. Eight Wheels good. Hi, welcome to chat. My main form of exercise is Beat Saber, but I fear this does not help my brain at all. I feel like that's pretty good for your brain. That's like really, really good hand-eye coordination, right? But there is a, there is a sense that, like, I think you need one hobby for your body, and you need a different hobby for your brain. Like, you need, like, get into knitting or some shit, like something that you can do with your hands. I feel like that's important. Or like get into carpentry. I've got a Tenora cooking. I'll go for Pandero. I'll go for the Pandero Prime Barrel. Play some drums. Yeah, just like literally fucking, and it's like whatever makes you happy. Like, I know that's like a useless piece of advice of just like, oh, just be happy. Just do activities that are joyful. But like, yeah, kinda. Let's go visit Variza. Yeah, it just doesn't help your executive function. It's like, I work out in the mornings. It's like I wake up, I pretty much immediately go to the gym. Like I feed my cat and then immediately go to the gym. And then it's like, okay, I'm home. Now my day has started. It kind of feels like cheating, you know? Okay. Am I insane? Yeah, there we go. Prime receiver, Tenora Prime Barrel. There we go. Let's get 3 of these bad boys. Oh, man. Yeah, Try not to get a hobby that's, like, breaking the bank, either. Like, Legos are cool as fuck, but goddamn, that's expensive. That's an expensive-ass hobby. Again, that's why I got into cooking. Why am I doing this again? I didn't want to do this. It's like, it's hard to have a hobby, you know? Like, it's a tough thing to do these days. Because everything costs fucking money. People don't really have spare cash to throw around. It is funny where people are like, it's like, oh, we might be in a recession. It's like, I can see my Patreon numbers. We're in a recession. People don't have an extra, like, $1 a month to throw around these days. Like, I can tell. It's why my main hobby is cooking. Because, like, I gotta buy food anyway. You know, might as well get good at it. Speaking of, if you guys remember from the last stream, I mentioned wanting to do that wok fajita technique, where I, like, made a tomato sauce and then poured it in the wok so it, like, evaporated immediately while I was tossing the vegetables. I tried that. It almost worked. It rapidly... The tomato rapidly congealed into kind of a film of, like, you know how you ever, like, had tomato sauce, like, a day later on pizza, where it's, like, kind of congealed into, like, a cold paste? That kind of happened to it. It tasted okay, but it didn't have the, like, what do you call it? It didn't have that, like, crispness that that you want from fajita veggies. Tasted great, though. But it was basically like I made fajitas in a tomato sauce. It rapidly congealed into, like, a tomato paste. So I don't think I'll do it again, but it was tasty. Restarting archery. That seems like a fun hobby. I've been getting into fried rice again. That's been my my breakfasts recently, is making omu rice. Eggs are one of those tricky ingredients. There's always more things to learn about eggs. Apparently, if you're trying to get a job at, like, a restaurant or something, one of the first things that they do is, like, one of the first things they do to teach you, or, like, to test you, is, like, make me a perfect over hard egg, or, like, a perfect over easy egg. Kimchi fried rice is really fucking good. I was talking about this with one of my friends recently, who's on the apps. He's on all the various apps, where it's like, if you're on a dating app and you, like, why do a lot of these first dates fail? And we were talking about how, like, some of the worst dates we've ever been on are with people who, like, don't have a hobby. They just, like, don't do shit. You know, they come home from work and they just, like, watch TV or something. Like, they don't not passionate about nothing. They don't got anything that they're interested in. It's important to be interested in something. You gotta have something that you're interested in that isn't, like, consuming media, you know? Again, part of why I like cooking. Everyone likes food. And everyone eats. Everyone always has, like, some fond memory of food that they can talk about. Like, you know, everyone has at least one memory where it's like, yeah, my mom used to make this shit for me, or something along those lines. Like, just some dish that's tied to, like, a moment in their life that they fondly remember, and, like, that dish becomes, like, a little snapshot of that. I like that. I like learning when people are like that. Like, seeing those little snapshots of people's lives. It's very fun. That's literally consuming media. Ha ha. Very funny. it's like you need to, like, consuming, you can enjoy media, right? But it's like you need to have something in your life that is creative. Like you can't just consume media. You have to be producing something. You have to be developing ideas and putting things into the world and failing in interesting ways. You have to, like, or like it rots you spiritually from the inside. Warhammer, that's a game. Being into a game is okay. Like that's a good hobby right there. Like it's no different than going out and playing rugby or whatever. Yeah, you got to be about something. You got to make something. Do something. Like literally one of the worst dates I've ever been on was with this girl who was like, okay, her job was that she was a low-level designer at a shoe company. And I was like, that's really interesting. Like, tell me more about that. And she's like, well, most of what I do is, like, go to shoe stores and, like, they asked me to, like, copy what other companies are doing and then just, like, design a different version of that. I was like, that's interesting. How do you feel about that? And they're just like, it's whatever. It's a job. I was like, that's an interesting job. You should be, it's like, I'm not saying you got to care more about what is probably a kind of boring job that you weren't looking forward to, but, like, well, you got to have some interesting thoughts about that. Come on. The necromancer, which could even simply be writing out your responses to media you like. Yeah, literally taking the time to structure your thoughts about something. Like, and not in, like, even making a post that takes you more than 24 hours to make. Like, that's closer to it. Like, even just doing it for yourself. Like structuring your noose in an interesting way is an important part of, like, living in today. And fucking, like, anything that gets you offline, man. Like, anything that keeps you from fucking scrolling. Like, I've been thinking a lot more about what I want for my content in the future, like what I want to be putting out there in the world, and I feel like there's a gap for kind of NPR style content. I don't want to be, like, as fucking impressed as I am with, like, all of my streaming cohorts who are always doing interesting shit, like building mods of their own games and, like, putting new spins on, like, how they experience this, like, how they experience games and doing crazy shit like Germa or whatever. Like, I would rather be a consistent and calm experience. I want to be an NPR weekend show. I want people to know that they can just log in and hear some interesting yapping for an hour or two. I feel like I want to be understimulating, calming, that sort of thing. We can talk about some interesting stuff, we can make some jokes, we can have fun, but I fundamentally want to be an understimulating presence in your life. Second monitor content, as it were, to diminish my own contributions to the world. But I feel like there's room for that. I feel like there's desire for that in the world. And that's a role I'm comfortable and I think a little bit skilled at filling. Not to toot my own horn. You're literally on my second monitor right now. Exactly. And that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. Thank you very much. I don't know. Everything wants your fucking attention these days. Everything demands immediate action. There are so many fucking Tumblr users like this, where it's like generally politically well-meaning people who've never read like never read a lick of theory in their life, but they love posting deceptively worded New York Times articles intended to make people panic, being like, everyone worry about this right now, everybody freak out. And then they post like 7 of those, and then the next post is like, anyway, you should support my like Etsy business where I don't know, sell gay keychains or some shit. It's like, it feels evil to me to like have a business model that relies on working my audience into a state of anxiety. I anything that gets you out of that brain space is so much more valuable to me. Yeah, Magic Things Considered with your host Cryptotheism, CT Kelly. I'm Audi Cornish, and I'm CT Kelly, and this is Magic Considered. I don't know. Just... don't freak out, man. Anything that keeps you from freaking out, anything that keeps you from scrolling, anything that gets you out of that mindset, like that brain space of like, I need to scroll, I need to just look at shit. One of my friends... He conceptualizes of social media as a physical space. Like every moment that you're looking at social media is like time you're spending in a room of a house. And that kind of did something to me of like trying to conceptualize just how much time I would spend in this one theoretical room. And that's like, I've been trying to pull back a lot from social media. I've been trying to scroll less. And I want to be... I've been trying to make a conscious effort to not just, like, throw my thoughts out. That's always something I've tried to do in general, but nothing this intensely. Where it's like, I think it's easy to fucking come on the internet and complain to a bunch of people, and they go, yeah! And that makes... It's almost like a drug, having people agreeing with you like that, of being like, yeah, that thing is stupid, and you're right, and I'm glad that you're saying this, like... That doesn't mean that people needed to see that. Like, I've been trying to structure my presence online in a way that I'm always adding something. I'm always, like, bringing to light some new joy or interest or depth to the world that was not previously present on my online space. I want to add something. I want it to be constructive. I don't just want to, like, come onto the internet and bitch about shit. I have a different blog for that. And even then, I'm trying to, like... It's like, I feel like it poisons your ability to interact with the world. I feel like if you're constantly stewing in all the shit that, like, pisses you off about the world and not just letting that shit float down the river... Because it's like, let's say that you have a mildly funny hater observation, and then you post that on the internet and it blows up, right? That's rewarding you for being in that, like, shitty, constantly pissed off mindset. I don't want to do that. It feels unproductive or counterproductive to, like, how I want to participate in the world. It clashes with my own self-image. Reptile, no Homestuck. Shut up. Keep that shit out of my chat. I don't know. It's like, I want to at least bring more interesting historical shit to people's attention. I feel like people enjoy learning about this stuff, and there's a market for it, you know? Not necessarily like a financial market, but like there's a spot in the attention economy for that shit. You know? I want to make something that isn't constantly screaming at you for your attention. I feel like Quizzardry filled that gap in a fairly good way. I love a good English panel show. That's exactly the type of energy that I want to bring to Twitch. Setting up a stall in the marketplace of ideas. It's like setting up a little secret cabana in an alleyway outside of the marketplace of ideas. Like, oh, it's like, it's quiet here. You can come on. Or it's like, I could just constantly start advertising for sports gambling. Would you guys like that? I could partner with DraftKings, make an obscene amount of money. Giraffe Kings? That's fucking true. Dude, on the savannah, they don't even have Draft Kings. They have Giraffe Kings. Crazy how big sports gambling became so quickly. Well, it's just like... sports gambling has become like an archon of this, of like everything I hate about the modern internet. In the sense that it's like something that is constantly clamoring for your attention, gamifying everything. Everything has to be like this low-level swipe left, swipe right. Like, it's like, oh, and don't worry, it's like you're only spending $200 a month, but broken up into little like 2-cent transactions that the digital house gets a rake of. Just like it wants to truly soak up all of the spare, like, precious mental energy that you have with this just like cursed amulet level of interaction with the world. It's like, imagine, I mean, I doubt that anyone in my audience is like into sports gambling, but just like imagine interacting with literally anything else the way that people interact with sports gambling, of just like staring at something and then placing tiny bets on like what's gonna happen next in my favorite book or some shit. These motherfuckers should work out at the library, by the way. You know, finally, the nerds are rising. People should read more books rather than do sports gambling. Am I right? Twitch chat of people who agree with me? Trying to make a spore lacer, but I don't have access to the Cove on Fortuna. Are there any alternatives? Isn't it accessible by the fucking fast travel system? You can fast travel there, right? I don't really know. Wait, Spore Lacer is one of the kit guns, right? I don't know. I don't really know much about this game, honestly. I play it a lot. I have like 2,000 hours in it. A lot of those are just like me leaving the game open, but I don't really know much about this game. I don't know how to do like specific cool shit. It's also an extremely sort of easy business to start. Yeah, that's true. Like there's fuck, man. If only there was an easy way to start a website. If only there was a cheap and easy way to start a professional-looking website. Man, it felt like my life was over, and it's just like the only thing that could truly improve my life right now is a monthly curated box of snacks. I have no hope left. The joy has been taken from my life, and the only thing that can save me from the pit is a subscription order underwear service. But it's too bad that shit like that doesn't exist, right? Like, fucking, there's no one out there who's providing a convenient way to get a box of stupid nerd shit and Funko Pops every month, right? That's the only thing that would make me happy anymore. And there's just no good options for VPNs, right? Like, everything costs way too much money. There's literally no way to get a VPN, and there's no one selling iced tea with a little bit of shitty alcohol in it. We're fucked. We're just fucked. There's no hope anymore. None of these amazing services and products are being provided to consumers like me. And I'm gonna start killing people. I literally am. I'm just gonna start taking the lives of strangers until I'm able to get access to a customized underwear service, all right? It's over. My cat needs to be let back in. Okay, I'm back. Out of my relics. If only there was a slightly fancy concealed holsters for any such occasion. But alas, we are doomed to the tide of history and will be forgotten, abandoned in our suffering by the fucking lack of MeUndies or whatever. The point of all of this is that you need to get addicted to sports gambling, okay? You need to download DraftKings, you need to download Polymarket, set aside an increasingly large amount of your savings every month to just, like, bet on whether or not somebody's going to throw a dildo onto the court at a WNBA game. You need Razors. You need a monthly subscription to Razors, okay? Fucking... Target isn't cutting it anymore, alright? You just don't have access to that shit. Did I get the thing that I needed? No. Alright, whatever. Yeah, just get a fucking e-scooter. Who cares? We're all spiraling towards the end of history. Yay, Nightwave. Okay. To do next. I think we're gonna go visit Variza again. The American... Yeah, no, we're going through our own wonderful King Dynasty at the moment. Hello, ma'am. Yeah, welcome back. Hi. Yeah, I love you. I'm not immune to it. I've never been immune to it. Just the other day I ordered some stupid shit off of Amazon that I didn't need to order. Confession, they tried HelloFresh and the food is mid, like extremely mid. Yeah, no shit! Like, not to put you on blast, but like, what were you expecting? Like, oh man, HelloFresh is actually not, like, it's actually not gourmet products. I think the advertisers might have lied to me. Like, yeah, man. I'm sorry, Ariel, but guy who is disappointed with the food quality of HelloFresh meals is really funny. And I'm saying this because I'm not immune to it. Like, I have to order Mechthilde a specific brand of cat litter because she's a needy little fucking princess. I need to order this special fancy cat litter every couple months, and every time I do, there's like, oh, there's some other shit I need on Amazon, and I spend like $45 buying a pair of like high-waisted jeans that aren't gonna fit me, and then I get them, and I'm like, man, the last 6 pieces of clothing that I ordered off of Amazon were like incredibly shitty quality and overpriced and didn't fit me, and then I just had to like give them away. You know, filling up some bin in a Savers somewhere in Southern California with more fast fashion bullshit that nobody needs to fucking wear. And I did it again. I'm not above this shit. I did it again. I bought a fucking Temu ass corset that, yeah, it turns out didn't fit me. But no, I was an idiot, and I thought maybe this time it'll be like a high quality product that'll like fill some gap in my fashion choices. Like a fucking idiot. Yeah, the last 1,000 bites of dirt were not so good, but maybe the 1,001st. Yeah, literally. It's like, it gets its fucking hooks into you. Okay. Pandero. It is. It is a true transfem experience of just buying bullshit off of Amazon. Like, buying bullshit girl clothes off of Amazon. And then being like, oh, the socks actually are kind of shitty and they don't fit me. And they, like, when I wear them under my shoes, they, like, don't provide any cushion because they're made of, like, a micron thin level of fabric. And the elastic isn't shitty and they just slide down to your fucking ankles immediately. This is why you started getting into sewing and clothes making. It's like, I would love to be good at tailoring, man. Like, there's a fucking hobby that I could use. It's just like getting into tailoring. Fuck. Because it's like, if you want to look good these days, you kind of have to, like, buy vintage clothing, right? Like, most shit is bad. Like, most bullshit is just, like, just doesn't look good. All the fabric quality of everything is just dog shit. It tears after a week. I think literally everything in my closet is, like, thrifted. I'm looking for a pair of high-waisted pants. That's my next big score here. I just need, like, a nice pair of high-waisted jeans that I can wear with a thick belt. Or even slacks. Even a pair of pinstripe slacks. Just, like, something a little woolen and thick. Because, like, it's been about a year on E now. I got a nice waist. Want to show that shit off. This was part of the reasoning behind the corsetry. But no, got some fucking, like, paper-thin Temu shit. It barely fit my crotch. The state of clothing truly is, Doc. You showing me your tummy? Hi. I'm working right now. Listen, I need more people to subscribe to this so that I can afford kibble for you, ma'am. I cannot play with you right now. This is literally how I feed you. Hi. I do love you, though. Wow. Yeah, honey. I love you. Gigantic cowboy belt buckle that says E. Not quite. I mean, it'd probably be like a studded emo belt or some shit. That's more my style. Although I could totally pull off some David Byrne type shit if I wanted to. I literally live in the Southwest. Like, I love an embroidered shirt. Speaking of, like, that's, like, one of the best places to get clothing around here is there's these Mexican tailor shops that have, like, you know, it's, like, literally just, like, a couple of old dudes, like, making belts and shit, and they have, like, the nicest, like, embroidered Southwestern shirts. Get some boots and shit. I need a pair of boots. Actually, I got a pair of boots. I need a pair of boot jeans. The lo-fi skeleton. You're imagining the lo-fi skeleton wearing these things? Like, it's like, I have an eclectic sense of dress. My friend who is more into fashion has described my fashion sense as a mixture of comfort and flair. Which feels like a nice way of saying that I dress like a clown. But no, I look like somebody, like, wrapped me up and bowled me through a Hot Topic. And then I went on a vacation at the beach. You need to find a seller that isn't a weirdo? Yup. Yeah. Finding an independent emo clothes seller that doesn't have any allegations against them. Yeah, no, I understand the struggle. Yeah, that's right. There's a problem in the community, ma'am. Yeah. It seems like every 6 months a pop punk singer gets, like, accused of some bullshit. Yeah. They should go to prison. Hi. I love you. You're cute. Alligators? That's not what I said. Come on now. What was I fucking talking about? Hi. Yeah, clothing's just hard to find these days, I guess. CD stands for carcerate the singers. It's a problem! Somebody's got to deal with all these pop punk singers. Do Gen Z kids have an equivalent of, like, emo boys that make out for female attention? Is that like a... Is there a parallel for that, or if we just... Are people just gay now? I mean, people were gay back then, but there was, like... It was, like, less okay, and so you had to, like... sit on people's laps and, like... He's a prime. Come on. Yeah, I think people are just gay now, right? Like, it's just okay to be gay. You don't need to do this, like, what would you do for $100? It is kind of sad that Gen Z will never, like, get to experience being, like, an emo boy in middle school, having a bisexual experience. Like, when it, like, wasn't okay. When like, you could still get, like, really, really bullied for that by, like, teachers and shit. I'm sure that still happens, but it's, like... It's a different world now. Like, people are, like, aware that being bisexual is a thing. That's what fan fiction is all about? No, we're talking about being gay in the real world. Maybe it's a good thing. It's definitely a good thing. Like... I'm glad that people don't have to deal with the, like, bizarre psychosexual stigma, but it's like... That shit hit crazy. It was awesome. When it did happen, oh man, that shit was so cool. There's a lot of, like, lost homosexual dynamics that are, like, it's good that they're relegated to history, but also it's like, when it was good, it hit like a truck. You bet people are still like that there? Yeah, well, you savor the historical moment for what joy it brings, and then, like, keep the wheel of history rolling, you know? I meant... Oh, you meant, like, I will write what happened to me in middle school, but, like, set in the Middle Ages. And people are like, oh my god, the pining. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. Of, like, that I can see. Everything's knights these days. Everything's just, like, taking a gay experience you had in high school and then, like, what if it was knights? That seems to be the new hotness at the moment. I think there is something about knights that's, like... I mean, everyone's into fucking D&D shit these days, and, like, high fantasy whatnots. Which is already, like, a realm of fantasy and science, right? There's already a bit of a hyper-reality to, like, LARP, and so it makes total sense that there's a lot of overlap with... It makes sense that there's a lot of overlap with, like, kink and sexuality. It's, like... Both of them are regimes of signs and theater that... like, clearly overlap, and so it takes, like, all of 2 seconds for knights to get heavily sexualized. When people are, like, pretending to be knights and pretending to be, like, I don't know, like, I'm the only bee in the hive and you have to repopulate me. And also we're gonna spend the afternoon pretending to be wizards together or some shit. Like, yeah, of course those sexual wires are gonna get crossed. Who is yet to top Umberto Eco? I think he's dead. I don't think he's alive anymore. Umberto Eco has been dead for some time now. want, ma'am? Good for him? I don't think it's good for him. I think he should be alive. I think Umberto Eco should be alive forever, and we need to go back in time and preserve that liberal in glass or something. Hi, sweetie. Hello, I don't know what you want. You just want attention? Nobody did it like him. He should have been a little bit more of a communist, if you want my opinion on it. He's a wonderful writer, but he's a fucking lib. Do you remember that bit in Foucault's Pendulum where it's like the fascist publishing house and the leftist publishing house are like connected by an alleyway in the back and they like share an office? It's like, oh man, I bet that goes hard if you're a lib. There's an opera of Name of the Rose? I didn't know that. That makes sense, though. It feels like it'd be perfect for an opera. Is Baudolino good? Like, the worst parts of Foucault's Pendulum were like, he was just like flexing his medieval like crusader knowledge for like 5 fucking chapters and never shutting up about it. And it's like, yeah, dog, we know that you're a medievalist. Like, please keep the story going. I feel like Baudolino is just like that. Or I worry that Baudolino is just like that. Where it's like, I bet this goes crazy hard if you can like read ecclesiastical Latin or whatever, but like there's a lot of references that I might not get. I have heard that it mentions blemmies, and I love blemmies. And Prester John. So it's like, if it's good, I will dedicate some time to Baudolino, but like, fuck it, I should do it anyway. Who cares? Like, I barely trust y'all's opinion on media as it is. You read half a chapter of Baudolino in which you fucked a satyr girl? That's piquing my interest a little bit. I don't know what I want to read after fucking Gravity's Rainbow. I've been reading James Baldwin, and he's like... I mean, he's peak. He's like insanely goated. He does that thing that fucking a lot of philosophers do, where he has like 2 sentences that are like, whoa! Like, it's just like an overwhelming density of insight for like 14 or 16 words. Also, he's a fucking based anti-theist king. People talk about him as like, oh, he was a preacher. He's like a Christian author. And then if you read The Fire next time, it's like, this man is not a Christian anymore. This man has a level of bile for Christianity that I have never seen more elegantly expressed. His sheer hatred of the church is like... It's like a cold, scalpel-sharp hatred. Or it's like, I don't even think calling it hatred is the right word. Like, he has this, like, almost mournful, like, grief for Christianity. He's just like, he's sad that... Ma'am, get off of my keyboard. Thank you. So he's Catholic? Well, no. Patient Ghostwriter, come on. It's Black American author James Baldwin. Think about that for 2 seconds. He's clearly Protestant. Like, come on now. And he was a preacher, right? Like, he was deeply involved in the church. Like, he was a huge part of his life. He was a popular preacher too. Like, he was one of those like boy preachers that like drew huge crowds and shit. And it's like, he had just the quotes he fucking has about like his time in the church is like crazy. Go read. I'm not even going to quote him on stream. Just go read The Fire next time. It's like 100 pages. It'll take you Like, you can finish it in an afternoon. One of the most profound things I've ever read. Like, just one of the most, like, incredibly affecting things I've ever read. Go read it. You wish to hear Mechtild's wisdom? Okay, that's wonderful. I need to see the screen. IDK if the convert's fervor is a real thing or just seeing patterns that aren't there. Well, he wasn't a convert, but like convert's fervor is a thing. Like the greatest Christians are converts. What should I read? Fucking The Fire next time. Go read it. It's amazing. Deconvert's fervor. Yeah. I see what you mean. But it's more like he's just seen like how like he has a lot of pretty profound discussions of like how empty the church was. There's like he has this whole thing about like there was no love in the church. Like it was just a mask for like fear and desperation and shit. And salvation ends at the door. Another fantastic quote. No, it's not an irrational thing. People are very rational about it. I think, like, converts fervor... Like, people don't become adult converts to a religion for no reason, right? There's always, like... That's an intense thing to do. And so there's always got to be, like... There's always, like, some enormous gap. Like, there's some enormous hole in a person's life that leads them to becoming, like, an adult convert to Catholicism or something. Not to say that James Baldwin was. We're changing topics here. But, like... Yeah, fucking... Shit's intense. Adult converts to Catholicism are some of the most insane people I've ever met. Do you not need reactant? I'm taking off. I don't need this. I'm leaving. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're probably going to wrap up for the day. This has been fun. And hey, before I send you off, this is my primary source of income. If you want to join the Patreon, throw me a sub. I'd be greatly appreciated, but absolutely no pressure. No money's tight these days. I hope I can be a place where you can show up, relax, think a little, have some fun. I will catch you next time, everyone. Bye.